ignorant folks want to advertise their ignorance, you don't really have to do anything. You just let them talk, and that's what happened here.
I actually wish that the President of the United States wouldn't get involved in this sort of garbage. You'll understand in a few moments. It's beneath him and beneath the office. This is about the owner of a basketball team who is an idiot. You probably know this story already, but we'll play you some of the audio tape now. We don't need to use the term alleged comments. They're taped. We heard them. Let's have a listen.
Yeah, it bothers me a lot that you want to broadcast that you're associating with black people. I think it's nice that you admire him. I know him well, and he should be admired. And I'm just saying that it's too bad you can't admire him privately and during your entire life, your whole life, admire him. Bring him here, feed him, him. I don't care. You can do anything, but don't put him on this event for the world has to see, so they have to call me. And don't bring him into my games, okay?
Oh, lovely. Now, apart from being a complete hole, that's how he spoke to a woman who is a friend. It's incredibly archaic, racist garbage he's coming out with. But the man owns a basketball team. Now, I'm not an expert here, but when I have watched basketball, it seems to me there are quite a few black players. Wrong line of business? Will Strickland is an analyst of basketball and host of TSN's radio show One on One. You know this guy, Sterling. I mean, I've got to admit, I wasn't aware of him until now, but he was about to get an award from the NAACP, a Lifetime Achievement Award for what? Being a racist?
Actually, it was going to be his second award. And
second Lifetime Achievement Award.
If you think about it, people don't really care where money comes from.
Yeah.
All the money in North America, let's be honest with it, is blood money, if you want to call it that. It comes from something unholy, impure, whatever you want to call it. But we have to use that money. These are the means of exchange we have. So we can play holier than thou about the money, where he comes from, what he does. But Donald Sterling has a history of transgression like this.
Yeah.
So it's not surprising to many people, including the people who work for him and play for him. They know who he is. I think the bigger problem here is this culture of tolerance in the ownership group of the NBA, is including the commissioners of the NBA who knew what he was before he became an owner in the league.
But there are many owners of teams who are very progressive, decent people.
Absolutely.
They would never speak. They don't think like that.
But if you allow someone in your group that you know outright has these kinds of thoughts. Now, people are wanting him to give over his team, whatever the case might be. He didn't commit a crime other than being a total jackwagon, but the court of public opinion is judging him.
Well, that's a good point.
He has to move, or the commissioner of the NBA, Adam Silver, has to move quickly.
Yeah, he hasn't committed a crime, but it makes it untenable. How can he own a team? What percentage of the players in the team are African American?
Roughly over 70% of all the players in the NBA are African American or of African descent.
So how are they going to feel playing? And they're not playing for him, obviously. They're playing for the team and for the fans and so on. But
they play for him because he signs their checks as well. I mean, we can try and exclude that and make it a band of brothers who are playing for the good of the game. They still get paid.
Yeah, I'd hope they're playing for the fans, though. I mean,
absolutely.
I know enough about soccer to know that some of the owners, they're barely there. They're playing for the fans and the team and the history and the culture of the team. Magic Johnson, I mean, who is not a role model in many ways, but he was a great player. There's a clip here. Let's have a listen to what he had to say.
So I had a friendship with him. So for him to then make these comments or alleged comments about myself as well as other African Americans and minorities, there's no place in our society for it.
Now, the comments were about him specifically, but also about black people in general. So what happens now? Will somebody buy the team away from him? Will he walk away? Will he try to sell it? Will he be reprimanded?
Well, we're still waiting on what Adam Silver will do. We were of the thinking that he should make a swift resolution to this thing right away. Suspend him indefinitely until they find out what's going on. I don't understand the whole investigative end of it because we heard him on tape. If you worked with this guy for well over 30 years, you would know his voice by now. But I understand due process, even though, again, it's not a crime he's committed other than being a total jerk-off. But the situation here is act quickly. And the players are the ones that are going to get the brunt of everything. Players are saying, oh, you should boycott. People should boycott These guys have worked an entire year as a team to go for a title. So understand them not wanting to go. They made kinds of silent protests in regard to this whole incident with Donald Sterling. But really, the biggest issue to me is, what will Adam Silver do? I think they should suspend him. And in a power move made by Magic Johnson, who owns the LA Dodgers, he is getting his group together to try and buy the LA Clippers. So, okay, you don't want me at the games? I'll buy your team. Now I can go to the games. So it's a ploy, of course, because you don't know what he's going to do, Donald Sterling. And he bought the team in 1981 for $12 million.
What's it worth now?
Oh, evaluated, I think in Forbes at $575 million. Yeah. So he's not going to be hurting if he has to walk away
he'll
from this.
manage. Look, I wish we had a bit longer to talk about this. There was a commentator on TV in soccer who'd been a manager, a successful manager, who made some comments. He didn't think he was on air. He was fired immediately. There was a time in England when there was a culture of racism on what we call the terraces, where people were watching. That completely gone now in England. It exists in Spain, in Eastern Europe. They will change eventually. But in England, in particular, they dealt with it. They simply said it is not going to happen. Now, there's a lower percentage of black players, but they're still very important in the game. But it won't be tolerated. It takes enough people to stand up, even if society is behind the times, but say, in this game, you're not going to act like that. He may have money, but that's not the point. A lot of rich people are involved in this. They have to say, no, your time is up. I don't want to leave this to the radicals to try and dominate it. I don't want the Jesse Jacksons and the rest to make hay out. Just ordinary, decent people, every background, come forward and say, you're a moron.
Well, that's part of the issue for me, is that no other major owners from major sports have stepped up and said something about this either.
That's very interesting.
So, and that's why I talked about the tolerance and this culture of tolerance in the ownership groups.
All righty. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Michael.